He was 17 years old. He had never been arrested. He had no motive. He had an alibi confirmed by 4 people. He told the same story every single time they asked him, word for word, detail for detail, never changing, never contradicting himself. The detective who interviewed him wrote in his report that the subject displayed no deception indicators. That report was never presented at trial. The detective was never called to testify. 8 years later, an innocence organization found that report in a box in a storage facility. It had been there the entire time. This is the story of Jordan Ellis. He was a junior in high school, a neighbor who shoveled Mrs. Garner's driveway and carried her groceries when her arthritis flared. Patricia Garner was found dead in her home, 3 blocks from Jordan's school. He had waved to her from across the street the afternoon before she was discovered. That wave, nothing more, made him a person of interest. The lead investigator, Detective Frank Dolan, had a reputation, 22 years on the force, a clearance rate his superiors called exceptional. Yet clearance rates are numbers until you examine how cases are closed. Dolan's method was to fix on the most convenient suspect, then assemble evidence to support that conclusion. Convenience, not corroboration, guided the investigation. Jordan fit the profile: young, nervous, local, without resources for private counsel. Dolan interviewed Jordan 4 times in 6 days. Each session lengthened, each question tightened. Jordan's answers did not shift. He said he waved to Mrs. Garner at about 4 p.m., went home, ate dinner with his mother and younger sister, did homework, and went to sleep. His mother and sister confirmed it. A neighbor saw him arrive home at 4:15. A friend called him at 7:30 and spoke for 40 minutes. These witnesses were never called in court. The defense never presented that alibi. Jordan's public defender managed a caseload of 112 active clients and reported 4 hours of preparation for this trial. He did not subpoena alibi witnesses. He did not request the complete investigative file. He did not know about the detective's report that said no deception indicators, because he had never asked for it and no one had told him it existed. The prosecution's case rested on 3 elements: Jordan's proximity to the victim, a fiber on Mrs. Garner's coat described as consistent with a jacket Jordan owned, and the testimony of a jailhouse informant named Curtis Webb. Webb testified that Jordan had confessed in a holding cell. In the weeks after Webb's testimony, his own charges were significantly reduced, a deal not disclosed to Jordan's defense at trial. That disclosure, like the detective's report, remained hidden until the Innocence Organization uncovered both in a storage facility folder labeled miscellaneous correspondence 8 years later. At 17, Jordan was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced as an adult to 25 years to life. He entered a maximum security prison naive to adult time. The prison psychologist documented functional dissociation in his early records. For 2 years, he existed in stunned silence, then spent 3 years exhausting internal appeals with no success. In year 6, a law student in an innocence clinic discovered Jordan's file while researching wrongful convictions. She spent 14 months assembling documents, tracking witnesses, and re-examining what the record had omitted. She found the detective's report. She found the correspondence about Curtis Webb's deal. She found Webb himself. Webb said he had never heard Jordan confess, and that the two had shared a holding cell for less than 20 minutes. Webb signed an affidavit. The Innocence Clinic filed a post-conviction motion. After 7 months, the motion was granted. Jordan walked out of prison 8 years after he had been taken in, 25 years old, in a body that had never lived the years between 17 and 25. Detective Dolan had retired 3 years before Jordan's release and drew a full pension. Internal Affairs reviewed his files and concluded there was no systemic misconduct. 3 independent legal scholars publicly contested that conclusion, pointing to documentary evidence suggesting pattern and process rather than isolated error. The public defender remained in practice. The prosecutor, later a senior partner at a private law firm, defended the original prosecution as appropriate, given the evidence he claimed was available. Jordan gave one public statement after his release. He said he didn't know how to be 25 because he had never been 25. He had watched peers grow into adults from the other side of a prison wall. He did not claim anger. He described standing in a room while everyone else could see the door and no one told him where it was. This case is a study in how systems fail. Investigative bias, withheld evidence, inadequate defense, and the willingness of institutions to accept finality over truth. It is a reminder that documentary records, an interview report, a correspondence file, an affidavit can be the hinge on which justice swings. For Jordan Ellis, the hinge was present the day he was arrested. It simply sat in a box for 8 years. The detective's report was in a box in a storage facility for 8 years. It said no deception indicators. It said it on the day of the interview. The system that put Jordan Ellis in prison had the answer the whole time. It chose not to use it. Subscribe to Case Files TV. Every week, the cases the headlines covered, and the documents they hoped no one would ever find.